Imagine this. You're standing in a bedroom, but it's not just any bedroom. It's all white, pristine. Everything is minimalist, stylish, expensive, the kind of room you'd see in, an architectural magazine.
Right. A sanctuary.
You'd think so. But the feeling in there,
Yeah.
it's not peaceful at all. It's heavy, suffocating almost.
Yeah. It sets this immediate chill, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's a very unsettling way to start.
It is. And on this gorgeous oak dresser, a piece of furniture that's probably worth more than my entire car,
Yeah.
there are options. And the woman standing there is considering them. And they're terrifying options.
It's not a choice between outfits.
No, she's thinking about a gun, but too violent. A noose feels too ancient, she thinks. A knife blade to the wrist. Too silent.
Wow. And you are describing perfectly the opening scene of The 5 a.m. Club by Robin Sharma. The woman weighing these awful choices.
Yeah.
She isn't what you'd call a failure. Not in the conventional sense.
Not at all.
She isn't destitute. She's not on the street. She's the entrepreneur. She's a tech titan, a founder in her late 30s. And she is, by all outside measures, at the absolute peak of her power.
Right. She's rich, celebrated, a leader in her field. She's climbed the mountain, but she's standing at the top looking right down into the abyss.
Because she's facing a coup.
A complete coup. The company that she poured her life into, that she built from a dorm room, it's being ripped away from her.
By investors, by people she trusted, and it's all fueled by, greed and jealousy. She just feels utterly betrayed by everything.
And in that moment of absolute despair, she decides that a dangerous deed, as the book calls it, suicide, might be the only way to make the pain stop.
It is incredibly heavy.
Yeah.
But it immediately frames the entire book.
How so? I mean, why would you start a book about morning routines with a suicide attempt?
Because it tells you right away, this isn't just another business manual. It's not a list of productivity hacks for getting a promotion. This is a parable. It's about rescuing your own life. It's about how when everything external is collapsing around you, when the world feels hostile, that a specific internal routine, a way of operating, can literally pull you back from the edge.
And that really is our mission for this deep dive. We are cracking open the 5 a.m. Club. We want to decode the philosophy behind this idea of owning your morning to elevate your life.
Yeah. We're not just recapping the story. We're going to try and unpack the tactical guide for personal mastery that's kind of hidden inside this narrative.
How you can escape what the book calls mediocrity and, well, save yourself in a way.
And to do that, we have to follow these three characters. We met the entrepreneur. She's successful on the outside, but she's broken, cynical, and desperate.
But she's not on this journey alone. There's another key figure, the artist.
Yes, the artist. He's a painter. And he's sort of the opposite of her. He's full of creative potential, but he's a total mess.
Procrastinating.
Constantly procrastinating, fighting his own demons, self-sabotage. He has these big dreams of being a giant, a legend, but he just feels completely stuck. He's the emotional heart to her icy desperation.
And then there's the catalyst, the person who brings them together.
The guide. A man who, for all intents and purposes, appears to be homeless.
He's eccentric, right? Disheveled, speaks in riddles.
And quotes. Constantly quoting philosophers and poets. But as we're about to find out, looks can be incredibly deceiving. And these three, they're going to take us from a conference hall to a private island in Mauritius and break down the neuroscience of success along the way.
Okay, so let's get into it. Segment 1, the encounter. It all starts at this big personal optimization conference. The entrepreneur and the artist are both there separately to see a speaker called the Spellbinder.
And the Spellbinder is this legendary guru figure. I mean, think of a mix of every great motivational speaker you've ever heard of rolled into one. He's in his 80s, a grandmaster of inspiration.
And he's on stage just weaving this incredible narrative about reclaiming your primal greatness.
Yeah, and he's calling the audience out. He's telling them they're playing small, that they've become cyber zombies.
Cyber zombies. I love that. It feels a little too close to home, if I'm being honest.
It really does. He's basically accusing everyone of trading their genius for screen time, for cheap digital distractions. And then, just as he's hitting this incredible crescendo, something goes wrong.
He collapses.
Just collapses.
Yeah.
Right there on stage.
It's total chaos. And in the middle of it all, the entrepreneur and the artist end up sitting next to each other, just stunned, wondering if the guy's dead or alive. And that is when he walks up, the homeless man.
And this interaction is so important because it immediately plays on all of our biases. The entrepreneur, she's cynical, she's suspicious.
Of course.
She sees this guy in stained clothes with wild, unkempt hair, and her guard just shoots straight up. She figures he's some crackpot who snuck in to get some free coffee and pastries.
But the artist, he's a bit more open, a bit more curious. And then they both notice something that just doesn't add up.
A glitch in the matrix.
Exactly. The homeless man is wearing a watch. And it's not a Timex. It's this incredible timepiece with a dial the color of a revolver, surrounded by polished stainless steel. The entrepreneur, she knows luxury, she knows wealth, and she spots it instantly.
And she whispers to the artist, right? She says that watch is worth $100,000. Easily.
At least. And suddenly, this massive cognitive dissonance kicks in.
How can a guy who looks like he just crawled out of an alley be wearing a fortune on his wrist? It makes no sense.
And more than that, he starts speaking, and he's incredibly articulate. He's not rambling. He's quoting George Bernard Shaw. He's quoting Anita Roddick.
He says something to them, wealth isn't just money. And then he claims to have what he calls a mindset, heart set, health set, and soul set that sets him apart.
Okay, let's pause there, because that's a huge concept. Most self-help stuff just hammers on mindset.
Right. It's all about your psychology, your thinking. But this character, he comes in and says, look, mindset is only 25% of the game.
So what are the others?
Well, there's heart set, which is your emotional life, your ability to feel and connect. There's health set, which is your physical vitality, your energy. And soul set, your spiritual life, your connection to something bigger than yourself.
And he was laying out this incredibly holistic model for success while looking like a total disaster. The contradiction is everything.
And then he drops the bomb.
The big one.
He tells them he's actually a billionaire. He says he has a private jet waiting for them on a nearby tarmac. And he invites them, these two complete strangers he just met, to his private island in Mauritius.
I mean, what would you do? You'd think it was a scam. Or worse.
A kidnapping plot. The entrepreneur is thinking, you know, if he's a billionaire, I'm Mother Teresa. This is too absurd to believe.
But there's something about him, right? He's not just talking, he's alive. He calls himself a surfer who rides the waves of life. He starts dancing, doing push-ups on the floor, chanting.
It's completely bizarre. But he also challenges them. He doesn't just preach. He asks them, what did you really learn from the spellbinder today? He pokes at their skepticism.
And they take the bait.
They do. Maybe because they're both so desperate, they're at rock bottom. What do they got to lose? So they agree to meet him the next morning at 5 a.m., still half believing it's a joke.
And a gleaming Rolls-Royce pulls up.
And the driver gets out, impeccably dressed, and confirms it. The homeless man is Mr. Stone Riley, the legendary tycoon.
And the driver gives them the first lesson right then and there. He explains why Riley dresses like that.
He says Riley dresses like a derelict to get gritty.
To get gritty, what does that even mean?
It's a practice in humility. He does it to remind himself that looks really do not reveal the quality of a person. He's terrified of becoming soft, of becoming one of those arrogant billionaires who lives in a bubble. So he forces himself to experience the world from a different perspective.
So it's a test for himself and for them. He wanted to see if they could look past the surface.
Exactly, because prejudgment is a trap. We are so wired to judge people and ideas based on the packaging, the clothes, the job title, the social media profile. We miss so much wisdom because it doesn't come in a wrapper we respect.
So Riley strips all that away to see who's really paying attention.
And they pass the test. So they get on the jet, which has 5 AC for 5 a.m. club painted on the tail, and they fly to Mauritius.
And this is where the real training begins. Which brings us to segment 2. The philosophy of the 5 a.m. club.
Right. They arrive in this absolute paradise, but it's not a vacation. The work starts immediately, and it's all built around one core rule. Winning starts at your beginning.
Meaning the first hours of the day are what define the rest of your day.
And by extension, the rest of your life. The idea is that the first hour is where heroes are forged.
Okay, but why 5 a.m.? Why that specific time? I mean, I love my sleep. Why do I need to get up when it's still dark outside? What's magical about 5 a.m.?
It's about what he calls the victory hour, that period from 5 a.m. to 6 a.m. And the magic isn't in the time itself, it's in the condition of the world and your brain at that time.
It's the time of least distraction.
Exactly. The world is asleep. Your phone isn't buzzing. There are no emails pouring in. No one is making demands on your attention. You get this pocket of pure quietude and tranquility.
Before the cyber zombies wake up and the digital noise starts.
Yes. But it's even deeper than that. There's real neuroscience behind it, which is what makes the book so compelling. In that early morning hour, your prefrontal cortex, which is the part of your brain that's responsible for rational thought, for worrying, for analyzing, for stress, is temporarily offline.
So your inner critic is asleep.
Precisely. The book calls it transient hypofrontality.
Whoa, that's a mouthful.
It is, but it's a real thing. Transient means temporary. Hypo means less or under. And frontality refers to that prefrontal cortex. So for a brief period, the worried, logical part of your brain takes a backseat.
And what happens then?
Your brain waves actually shift. They go from the high alert beta state, which is normal waking consciousness, down to the more relaxed alpha state, or even the dreamy theta state.
The flow state.
That's the gateway to flow. It allows you to be more creative, more intuitive, more connected to your own genius before the world hijacks your brain for the day.
So Stone Riley calls this practice of rising at 5 a.m. a keystone habit.
Yes. And a keystone habit is a concept from Charles Duhigg's work. It's one single behavior that, once you lock it in, creates this positive chain reaction of other good behaviors.
Can you give an example?
Sure. Think about it. If you conquer the challenge of getting out of a warm bed at 5 a.m. to work on yourself, what else happens? You're probably not going to follow that up with a sugary donut for breakfast.
Right, it would feel like you're undoing the good work.
Exactly. You're more likely to feel focused at work because you've already had that time for solitude and deep thought. You're more likely to go to bed earlier because, frankly, you're tired. It automatically raises the quality of the entire structure of your day.
Okay, but let's be real. It's painful. Waking up at 5 a.m., especially if you're not used to it, is just brutal. And the characters in the book, they feel that. The artist feels like death. The entrepreneur is completely exhausted.
Mr. Riley is very clear about this. He acknowledges it. He gives them this quote on a little index card that says, "All change is hard at first, messy in the middle, and gorgeous at the end."
That's a great framework.
It's vital.
Yeah.
Because most people quit in the hard at first or messy in the middle phase. The resistance you feel isn't a sign you're doing something wrong.
It's a sign you're doing something right.
It's a sign that you are actually changing your biology, your old habits.
Yeah.
They want comfort. They want what's familiar. So dragging yourself out of bed when it's dark and quiet is a genuine act of rebellion against your own programming.
So once they kind of accept this struggle, Riley takes them deeper. This brings us to segment 3 and the mindset of mastery. They're on the beach, and he draws this model in the sand.
A 3-step success formula.
And on the surface, it sounds almost too simple.
It does. Step 1, better awareness. Step 2, better choices. Step 3, better results.
I mean, that sounds like a platitude from a corporate poster. Duh.
Right. But the trick, the genius of it, is in the order. Most people try to jump straight to step 3. They want better results. They want the money, the fit body, the great relationships. Now,
Without doing the work.
without doing the work on awareness. Riley argues that you can't change what you don't see. You have to become intensely aware of your current habits, your limiting beliefs, your patterns of self-sabotage, before you can ever hope to make the better choices that lead to better results.
So it's about diagnosis before prescription.
Perfectly put. And this leads to what I think is one of the most powerful concepts in the entire book, the difference between granularity and superficiality.
This is the separator, he says.
It's the absolute separator.
Yeah.
Riley explains that the top 5% of performers, the true masters in any field, operate with a mindset of granularity. The other 95% of people live in a mindset of superficiality.
And he uses some incredible examples to bring this to life. The Formula One story really, really stuck with me.
Me too.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. He talks about visiting a Formula One team's garage. The car comes in for a pit stop. They change 4 tires, refuel it, make adjustments in, under 2 seconds?
Something insane like that, yeah.
But here's the granularity part. After the car screeches out of the pit and roars back onto the track, the crew gets out these industrial-strength vacuums, and they vacuum the entire pit bay.
They vacuum the driveway after the car leaves. That seems completely over the top.
To the mindset of superficiality, yes. It looks like a waste of time. But to the master, it is absolutely essential.
Why?
Because, as Riley explains, one loose screw on the ground, one tiny piece of grit that gets into the wrong component on the next pit stop can be the difference between winning and losing. It can cost a victory. It can cost a life. It's about an obsessive, microscopic attention to detail.
Controlling every variable you can.
To the highest possible degree. He tells another story that illustrates the same point. The lemon wedges.
Oh yeah, in Lucerne, Switzerland. The spellbinder ordered a cup of tea.
And it arrived with a small plate of lemon wedges. But the seeds had been meticulously carved out of each wedge.
Wow.
Think about that. Someone in that hotel kitchen took the time and care to surgically remove the tiny seeds so the guest wouldn't be bothered by them. That, Riley says, is deep craft rigor. It's the physical manifestation of caring really, really, really much.
Which is the total opposite of the good enough or mailing it in culture we see so often.
It's the antithesis. And to show the stakes, he brings up the flip side, the cost of superficiality. He talks about the Space Shuttle Challenger disaster.
Global tragedy.
A global tragedy caused by a flaw in a single, simple component, a rubber O-ring, a part that probably cost, what, 70 cents?
And because someone, somewhere, overlooked that tiny detail, 7 lives were lost.
That is the price of superficiality. When you gloss over the details, when you're just busy being busy but not truly effective, you miss the O-ring. Riley is trying to teach them that to become a history maker, you have to become obsessed with the small stuff. You have to move from vague intentions to granular, detailed execution.
Okay, so that sets the stage for where to apply this focus, and that's segment 4, the 4 focuses of history makers. Riley breaks it down into 4 key areas.
Right, and the first focus is capitalization IQ. This is such a fascinating idea because it directly attacks the myth of natural genius.
The idea that some people are just born with it.
Exactly. We love that story, that someone is just a born prodigy. But Riley argues that's mostly nonsense.
He has that great quote, something like, "It's not the size of the dog in the fight, but the size of the fight in the dog."
Precisely. Capitalization IQ isn't about how much raw talent you were born with. It's about how much of your innate potential you actually use, how much you capitalize on.
So you could have someone with incredible natural gifts who just squanders them.
All the time. We see it in sports, in art, everywhere. And then you see people with perhaps more modest natural talent who, through sheer grit, discipline, and a relentless routine, capitalize on 100% of what they have. And they're the ones who often achieve more.
And the 5 a.m. club routine is the system designed to maximize that capitalization. It's about squeezing every last drop of potential out of your DNA.
That's it, which leads to the second focus, freedom from distraction. We touched on this with the cyber zombies, but he really goes hard on this point.
He calls it the enemy. I remember the quote, "An addiction to distraction is the death of your creative production."
It's so true. And he paints this bleak picture of modern life, of people just glued to their screens, endlessly scrolling through other people's lives, living these half-alive existences.
He points out that you can't build an empire, whether it's a business empire, an artistic empire, or an empire of the soul, if your focus is being shattered by a notification every 30 seconds.
And I mean, think about it. How many of us check our phones within the first 5 minutes of waking up?
Almost everyone, right? It's muscle memory.
And Riley says the moment you do that, you've lost. You've immediately put yourself in a reactive state. You're responding to the world's agenda, not your own.
So what's the solution?
Radical simplification. Building what he calls a bubble of total focus. Being hard to reach for periods of the day. And embracing this idea that elite production without quiet vacation causes lasting depletion.
You have to unplug to perform.
You have to. You can't be always on and expect to produce brilliant world-class work. It's just not how the human brain is designed.
Okay, that makes sense. Focus number 3 is personal mastery practice.
This is the Spartan training part. The motto here is, sweat more in training to bleed less in war.
It's a military concept, basically.
Applied to everyday life. The war is just the challenges of your day. A tough meeting, a creative block, a difficult conversation. The training is what you do in the victory hour.
So the hard work happens in the dark when no one's watching.
That's it. If you use that first hour to toughen your mind through study and reflection and toughen your body through intense exercise, the rest of the day just feels easier. The battles of the day become manageable because you've already won the hardest battle before the sun even came up.
And the final focus, number 4, is day stacking.
This one ties everything together, connects back to granularity. We love the myth of the overnight success, the quantum leap.
But it's a myth.
It's a total myth. Riley says that great lives, legendary careers, are not built by sudden revolution. They're built by incremental evolution. It's about stacking one excellent day on top of another on top of another.
It's the 1% improvement rule.
Exactly. If you just get 1% better every single day, the power of compounding over a week, a month, a year, a decade, it's astronomical. But the key is consistency. You have to stack the days. You can't have 5 great days and then take 3 months off and expect to see results.
So we have the routine, we have the mindset, we have the areas of focus, but the question remains, why is this so hard? If the formula is there, why do we fight it so much?
And that leads us to maybe the most important part of the teaching. Segment 5, the neuroscience of self-sabotage.
This is where Stone Riley really puts on his professor hat. He brings out a model of the human brain.
And he explains this fundamental conflict that exists inside all of us, the conflict between our ancient brain and our modern desire for greatness.
And the ancient brain is the limbic system, the lizard brain.
Correct. Specifically, a little almond-shaped part of it called the amygdala. This is your fear center. Its primary job for millions of years of evolution has been one thing: keep you safe.
Keep you from being eaten by a saber-toothed tiger.
Exactly. Keep you in the safety of the herd, the tribe. Don't wander off alone. Don't try anything new and risky. Just survive.
But there are no saber-toothed tigers in the boardroom or
No.
the art studio.
No. But to your ancient brain, the threat feels the same. Leaving your comfort zone, starting a new business, writing a book, getting up at 5 a.m., it feels like walking out into the jungle all by yourself.
And he talks about the negativity bias.
Yeah, our brains are fundamentally hardwired to scan for threats. It's an evolutionary advantage. But in our modern world, where most physical threats are gone, that bias manifests as anxiety, as imposter syndrome, as a chronic fear of growth.
And this is where he delivers the line that
Yeah,
it just stopped me in my tracks. Riley says, the closer you get to your genius, the more you'll face the sabotage of your fears.
it's such a profound paradox, isn't it? You'd think the more successful you become, the more confident and less fearful you'd be.
Right.
But Riley says the opposite happens. As you get closer to your highest potential, as you start to leave the safety of mediocrity, your ancient brain completely freaks out. It starts screaming, "This is dangerous. Go back. Go back to being average where it's safe."
So that feeling of fear, of resistance, it isn't a stop sign.
It's a GPS signal.
Yeah.
It's a sign that you are moving in the right direction. If you aren't feeling a little bit terrified, you probably aren't growing.
Wow.
And the whole point of the 5 a.m. routine is to manage this. By waking up early, by exercising, which releases dopamine and serotonin, the feel-good neurotransmitters, and by practicing reflection or meditation, you are essentially soothing that hyperactive amygdala. You are rewiring your brain to be okay with the fear of greatness.
Okay, so we've been deep in the tactics and the neuroscience, but we can't forget this is all wrapped in a story that gets pretty intense. Segment 6, the narrative elements and symbolism.
Yeah, this isn't just a peaceful retreat on an island. The narrative adds this constant layer of urgency and danger. Throughout their training, the entrepreneur keeps getting these anonymous, threatening messages.
Leave the company or else you die. It's a straight-up thriller subplot.
It is, and it gets incredibly creepy. At one point, she has this nightmare, or maybe it's not a nightmare, where this bald man with a knife is in her room, and he's wearing a plastic laminated photo of her dead father around his neck.
That is just chilling. What's the symbolism there?
It's heavy. The dead father represents her core trauma, her fatherless daughter syndrome, which is the very thing that drove her to become this obsessive workaholic in the first place. She was trying to prove her worth.
And now that very ambition is threatening to kill her.
Exactly. The threats remind us that the stakes are real. They aren't just learning these lessons for self-improvement. They're learning them to literally save their lives. She has to find a new way to live, or her old way will destroy her.
And Stone Riley himself, he's not just a teacher. He's like a walking, talking symbol. You mentioned the tattoos on his back.
Right. He has victims love entertainment, victors adore education, tattooed on one shoulder blade, and a massive phoenix rising from flames on the other. Every detail reinforces the message.
And the way he delivers his lessons.
Theatrically, he'll send the messages in a bottle. Literally, little scrolls of silk with lessons written on them, tucked inside glass bottles floating in the ocean. It's all designed to make the learning an adventure, a process of discovery, not just a lecture.
And amidst all of this high-stakes learning and mortal danger, a romance starts to bloom between the entrepreneur and the artist.
It's a really touching subplot. You have the super rational, hard-edged businesswoman and the emotional, chaotic artist. And as they go through this process together, they start to shed their armor.
They become vulnerable with each other.
They do. The artist opens up about his childhood dreams of being a giant and a pirate, and how the adults in his life crush that spirit out of him. The entrepreneur starts to soften and reconnect with her own lost dreams. It just reinforces this key theme that finding your tribe, finding people who understand your quest for greatness, is absolutely essential. You can't do this alone.
So we've unpacked the story, the science, the tactics. It's a lot. What does it all mean for someone listening to this right now? Let's try and wrap this all up in the outro.
Okay, I think the key takeaways are really clear. First, the 5 a.m. club isn't really about the time on the clock. It's about reclaiming that first hour, the victory hour, to do the deep, important work the rest of the world is too tired or too distracted to do.
And it's about making that fundamental shift in mindset from superficiality to granularity. It's about sweating the small stuff. It's about cleaning the pit bay and de-seeding the lemons.
Yes, and it's about recognizing that distraction is the sworn enemy of building anything meaningful. You have to be willing to go dark, to disconnect, in order to truly connect with your own genius.
And maybe most importantly, realizing that fear is just biology. It's your ancient brain trying to keep you safe in a modern world where what you really need is to be brave.
And then at the end of their training, Riley hits them with the ultimate lesson, the memento mori, the reminder of death. He asks them, who will cry when you die?
That's a heavy question.
It is. And to drive it home, he tells them the true story of Jean-Dominique Bauby. He was the editor of French Elle magazine at the top of his game, and then he had a massive stroke. He was left with locked-in syndrome.
Where he was completely paralyzed, couldn't move, couldn't speak.
He could only move his left eyelid. That's it. That was his only connection to the outside world. A terrifying thought.
Well, imagine.
And yet, from that state, he wrote an entire book, The Diving Bell and the Butterfly, by blinking. He blinked out every single letter, one by one. The nurse would recite the alphabet, and he'd blink when she got to the right letter. 200,000 blinks to write a masterpiece.
Wow. It puts everything into perspective. Our complaints about being too tired or too busy just sounds so pathetic in comparison.
It does. And it leaves us with this final, really provocative thought. The idea of the self-fulfilling prophecy. If you believe you are ordinary, if you believe you're not a morning person, if you believe greatness is for other people,
Then you will behave in a way that proves that belief to be true.
exactly. You will stay in bed, you will hit snooze, you will scroll through your phone, you will live an ordinary life because that's the story you're telling yourself.
But the inverse has to be true as well. If you start to believe you're capable of more, if you start to tell yourself a new story,
And you back it up with a new behavior.
Mm.
Starting tomorrow morning at 5 a.m., you can change everything. The only way to break the cycle of mediocrity is to start a new one.
and with that, I think we leave you to set your alarms. Thanks for diving deep with us.
We'll see you in the Victory Hour.